Coming to you from the home of the mini trees, inspirational, motivational, so come along with us.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Pixel Talk. This week's edition brings you an interview with Ms. Varsha Rao, the head of global operations at Airbnb. Shannon Madden's overview of the contention between Apple and the FBI, Andrew Mariotis' recap of Super Tuesday, and a short segment by me, my first one in fact, about the Indoor Rowing World Championships in Boston this past weekend. Hello, my name is Tej Singh and I'm broadcasting from New Jersey on behalf of Stanford Online High School students from around the world. So, hello world. With us here today is Ms. Varsha Rao, the head of global operations at Airbnb. So, Ms. Rao, it's glad to have you here. And my first question is, because of your job, I can only imagine how much you travel around the world. So do you like to stay at specific Airbnb locations, or have you had a favorite one, or how often do you even stay at one of the company's locations?
So I do travel a lot. That's one of the great benefits of working at Airbnb and one of the pleasures of my job. And of course, whenever I travel on for Airbnb, and almost always I stay on Airbnbs. I definitely have, sometimes for work, when I travel, I stay with a host in a listing, in a private room, and other times I get my own place. It kind of depends a little bit on the city. And what I need to do when I'm there. Most recently, I've stayed with a great host in India, actually, in Gurgaon. Her name is Deepthi. I've stayed with great hosts in Berlin, in Copenhagen, and I'm looking forward to a trip that's coming up in Tokyo, where I'll be staying with a host.
Well, you sure do travel around the world. So what does your average day look like? Or if it does vary, what are some things you do, or even your targets, because Airbnb is expanding so rapidly. And I was reading that even at big events, this is a really important thing, how lots of people choose to stay at here versus hotels. Or what do you even see as like the future of Airbnb? Will there be hotels in the future?
Well, I think what I can share with you a little bit is about what my day looks like. And, I spend a lot of time thinking about growth in some of the biggest markets of the world, and all these amazing travelers, especially in Asia, that are starting to travel for the first time all over the world. And so how do we educate users about the benefits of staying on Airbnb, show them that there's a new way to travel, finding, you can really have a unique experience. You can go in and spend time in a local community, in neighborhoods, off the beaten track a little bit, and not just have a very cookie cutter experience, which is what a lot of people, and millennials in particular, want to do. And so my day is typically, I meet with teams here, I meet with partners, I have a lot of teams in China and India and other parts of the world, and so I'm spending time with them. So I definitely work and do calls with people on multiple time zones, and then I'm sometimes traveling, and I'm also working with the rest of the executive staff here.
It seems very interesting for a job. And now, so I'm transitioning to our segment related to high schoolers. Because our audience is mainly high schoolers, what was your high school experience like? Did you have any particular teachers or courses that you loved from which you took away something? Or if you didn't, did you get advice that you would like to tell our audience so they could learn from that and experience at high school at its fullest potential?
So I loved high school. I can't believe it's been so long since I've been in high school, and I'm quite jealous of all of you guys that are in high school now. I think you have it's such an amazing part of your life, so I would highly recommend everybody enjoy it. I had a great math teacher, algebra. He was really inspiring for me. His name was Mr. Johnson. And actually the reason, he was a good teacher, but he also was really great at just being a good friend and motivator, inspirer, saw the potential in me. I think that's always nice to see teachers that take a special interest. For me, high school was like some of the best years. I truly enjoyed high school. I definitely studied a lot, but I made a lot of friends, and I got involved in all sorts of different school activities, and that helped to balance things out.
Yeah, and especially since lots of high schoolers, there's so many activities to do. Like you said, it might be hard to choose. So suppose you had like 10 extra hours a week as a high schooler. Reflecting back, do you think there would be one skill that you would want to learn at that time, or that you would have spent that 10 hours doing?
So I probably, so I was really studious. I was my high school valedictorian, but I found time to, have fun when I was playing sports. Like I played soccer and I played lacrosse. I wasn't like the best sportsman, but I thought that those activities were really helped keep me well rounded. I think actually I would have loved to learn coding. I'd say coding and Chinese are the two things that I personally feel like if I had known what I know about the world today, that's what I would have wanted to spend my time on. And what would I have cut back on? Probably I took Latin and Spanish. I'm not sure why. um, they were interesting. I probably would have not done Latin and traded it for maybe coding. I know maybe it sounds a little controversial, but I feel like that's the way the world is going. It's kind of like rather than the language of the past, it's the language of the future.
Yeah, and that's reflected by everyone. I think even this past week, I think the White House sponsored $4 billion for people, minorities, and even for everyone to be coding and learn this future of technology. So now moving on to our lighthearted segment, if you could spend a day with any person living today, who would it be?
So I'm really interested in emerging markets, and so I would love to spend a day with Narendra Modi, the current Prime Minister of India. I think what he's trying to do to shape change is incredible, and I think it's going to impact us for decades. So I'd love to spend a day with him and hear more about his plans.
He seems like an interesting person too. So now let's going back to thinking about the past. If you could be part of any historical event in history, what would it be?
Wow, I think, well, the event I would most like to be a part of hasn't happened yet, and that's to see the first woman president get elected in the U.S. So I think it's really about time, and I think it can happen, hopefully in my lifetime. So yeah, that's the historical event or the monumental event that I'd like to be a part of and to witness.
Yeah, it might be sooner than expected. So it's a tradition of Pixel Talk to end these interviews with a short, lighthearted segment we call This or That. So this includes a series of fun questions we ask our guests, and you have two options to choose from. So would you like to participate?
Yeah, happy to.
Okay, so our first question is crushed ice or cubed ice?
Cubed ice to savor the flavor longer.
Pancakes or waffles?
Definitely pancakes.
Would you rather have one wish granted today or three granted in 10 years?
One today, because life is short. You don't know how long you'll be here.
Would you rather be able to stop time or fly?
Ooh, I'd say stop time.
Do you prefer online shopping or shopping in a store?
I love online shopping. Yeah,
Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook. My friends mean a lot to me and family. And everybody's all distributed around the world, so Facebook is really great for that.
And our last question, would you rather be able to read everyone's mind all the time or know their future?
Ooh, I'd say know their future. I don't need to know what everybody's thinking all the time. Knowing the future is much more interesting.
So thank you so much. This brings us to the end of Pixel Talk. We'd like to thank Ms. Rao for graciously sparing us her time and inspiring not only the Stanford OHS community, but youth around the country and perhaps even around the world.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I think it's a huge privilege to be a part of this, and congratulations on all that you guys are doing. You're there to change the world, and we're all looking forward to it.
Hi guys, if you weren't already aware, Apple is currently involved in a lawsuit with the FBI. It all started due to the shooting in San Bernardino in 2015. The FBI located one of the suspect's iPhones, but was unable to gain access due to the encryption on the phone. The FBI now wants Apple to circumvent the lock on the phone to allow them to then use their devices to gather information. They believe that this will show whether or not the shooting was directly related to ISIS. Apple is resisting this request as it violates their privacy policy. They also believe it puts the future privacy of customers in danger. Apple claims that creating and using software to work around the safety features on the iPhone can potentially lead to more dangerous incidents in the future. Despite this, the FBI persists as they claim it is a matter of national security. What do you guys think? Should Apple have to unlock the phone for the FBI, or are they completely within their right to withhold this information?
Welcome back to this week's installment of The Political Pixel with your host, Andrew Mariatos. After an eventful Super Tuesday, it's clear that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are likely on a collision course for November, with Trump delivering strong performances in the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, Alabama, and Georgia, while Clinton had major turnouts among states with high minority populations, taking Texas, Georgia, Virginia, Alabama, Tennessee, and Arkansas. However, Bernie Sanders remains a factor on the Democratic side after winning Colorado, Minnesota, Oklahoma, and Vermont. Despite Clinton's rising in the polls, Sanders remains optimistic after Tuesday's votes, vowing that the $42 million he raised in February alone will help his campaign greatly. Cruz and Rubio trail Trump amongst the Republicans, but both remain confident that they can turn their campaigns around and defeat Trump. Although Rubio only took the state of Minnesota, he looks next to his home state of Florida for a late boost to his campaign. Only time will tell how the candidates will fare in the upcoming primaries as we inch ever closer to nominations from each party. Back to you, Tage.
The Crash Bees, the Indoor Rowing World Championships, were held in Boston this past weekend. The competition attracts the best rowers in the world, 2,300 of them in fact, and from about 30 countries, who all complete 2 kilometers of a machine called an erg. It's similar for what a treadmill is for running. Pixel Talk caught up with Graham Benton, who held the fastest time in the competition, 5 minutes and 49 seconds.
So how'd you get so good at rowing to start with? What did you start?
Been doing it about 10, 12 years, just on a row machine at the gym. The last time I came to Boston was 2006. I won the Open, so I've won it twice in my 30s, once the Open and now.
And so, how often do you practice?
Only about 6 times a week. I've got a full-time job.
What do you do as
I work for Hewlett Packard as a sales manager.
So how are you able to balance the time between working and rowing?
Just gotta have a routine. If you row yourself, you know that it gives you a very good sense of routine.
And since our show is about teenagers, do you have any advice for them or how to work harder, want to get...
Just know your limits, believe in your training, and just commit. It's going to hurt whether you're PB or whether you're 10 seconds off your PB. Still hurts. May as well hurt for a reason. May as well get something out of it.
Okay.
Cool.
Nice meeting you.
Cheers, mate.
My own sister, Riddhi Singh, finished 3rd in the girls under 14 division. Thanks for watching. Until then.